The dust has settled at the MLB trade deadline, but there are still quite a few questions about what is the future of the Phillies outfield, with Max Kepler failing to live up to expectations and Johan Rojas being the member of the team to get the short end of the stick and be sent down to AAA. Is there missing piece right there alongside him in Justin Crawford, or what is the plan from here? I do want to dive into what we know on the situation. Both Rob Thomson and Dave Dombrowski has spoken to the media at this time, laying out some expectations for how they view these pieces of the puzzle all fitting together and what they aren't saying that I think is a bit more notable here. Now, to start off with exactly what we do know, I do want to start off with Johan Rojas being optioned to AAA Lehigh Valley. Now, the more notable part of this to me is this coming from Ty Daubert here saying that Rob Thomson said Johan Rojas will head to AAA to get regular at-bats. He might play some left field and right field because the team wants Justin Crawford to keep playing center field. Rojas doesn't need the reps as much. Now, why this is notable is they are very clearly prioritizing the future of Justin Crawford over Johan Rojas. Now, I think we can contrast these guys' pathway to the major league pretty directly here, that Rojas is a guy who was fast-tracked for his defensive skill set. That this was a glove guy that they hoped the offense could get there, and it has not to this point. Now, in contrast that to Justin Crawford, is this is a guy that they've been very careful in his developmental path, that people have been screaming for Justin Crawford to get an MLB opportunity for quite some time. Now, for Rojas directly, I'm still not certain that we don't see this guy as a part of like the postseason roster here. And the thing that I think plays to Rojas's favor is he does have that defining trait. And when you talk about the Max Keplers, the Harrison Baders, and Bader I actually will exclude from this, as defensively he's quite fine and will be an upgrade over just about all their options out there outside of Rojas. But if you're going to talk about Brandon Marsh, Max Kepler here, none of those guys really have a defining quality. When you talk about Johan Rojas, it is his glove work. And sure, there are the mental slips at times. Sure, the bat is not there. But if we're talking about a postseason game where the Phillies have a 2 or 3 run lead in the 7th inning, that's probably the guy that you want holding things down in center field. Now, time will tell if that is how it plays itself out. There is still a lot of moving parts in this. And for Justin Crawford specifically, August 15th is the date that I want all you guys to have circled here. And why I say that directly is the Phillies are quite cognizant of that date specifically, that they can extend an additional year of team control. So I think this has been a bit of the Phillies playing the long game to make sure that they have this guy. I do believe that the Phillies are viewing him, hopefully, as their center fielder to the future, but there's still a lot that has to come together for that. And to that note, assuming that is how it plays itself out, if Justin Crawford does get the call up this year, which I think all expectations are, keep the expectations from his production standpoint a bit more tempered. That I do think he's being thrown into a bit of an unfair situation for a guy who is yet to make his major league debut to be the savior of this outfield picture. Justin Crawford is going to be a good baseball player, but I'm not certain that it's from day one, that he does have some issues, that he does not hit enough power in the minor leagues. He's a pretty complete baseball player in terms of there is not a glaring weakness, that he can hit for contact well. His pace is off the charts. He covers a ton of ground in the outfield, plays good outfield out there, but this isn't a guy that I believe any real prospect we should believe can come up and in his first season at the majors, after making his first MLB debut, can be any sort of difference maker from a postseason perspective. Now, to that point, it still plays that the Phillies' future is going to be decided by the Bryce Harpers, the Kyle Schwarbers, the Nick Castellanos, the Zack Wheelers. The big dogs of this team will dictate what its ceiling is, but the outfield picture is still a key part of this. Now, Rob Thomson was asked a bit about the outlook with Harrison Bader. I'm recording this shortly before the Phillies open up tonight, and Max Kepler still playing in left field. We will see if that lasts the duration of the matchup here. But he was asked a little bit about this from Devin Caney of WIP. And the question coming, is there any inclination to not platoon Harrison Bader? And Rob Thomson said, yes, there is. Rob Thomson says he sees Bader as, quote, the best center fielder that we've got right now. And that's a pretty interesting quote that right now, once again, I think is noteworthy. That I don't think this is accidental by the Phillies front office and managers here, that they're being a bit cautious in their wording, that everything that they're speaking about feels very in the short term. And our guy Luke Arcani, who was very much in the mix, you will see him in all these interview clips if you do look, standing right to the right of Tomper. But he quote tweets this saying, my biggest takeaway from Thomson today, it's a platoon for the next 6 days. I don't get the feeling that this is the rest of the season plan. Now, I will throw a little shot at Luke here that I did text him. What's the deal with the 6 days? What is that specific timeline? Is August 15th is the date that I continue to Google and see that come up. He just hit me with a like, which I didn't love, but nonetheless, all good vibes between us beyond that. Now, speaking about these two directly, Harrison Bader may not have been the missing piece in the way many of us hope could be the picture here, but he is an upgrade over Max Kepler here. Now, to lay out their stats directly here, Kepler across his 305 at-bats this season, hitting .203 with a .654 OPS, 11 home runs, and 33 RBIs. Harrison Bader there, 271 at-bats on the season, a .258 average with 12 home runs, 38 RBIs, and a .778 OPS. And the other thing that I will note about Bader specifically, this isn't like a platoon situation where you look at the splits and you can see one guy hits righty hitters and one guy hits lefty hitters better. It's just not the case with these guys. That Bader across the board is basically better than what Kepler has been for this Phillies team. Now, this commitment to Kepler is interesting to me. And we got this quote from Dave Dombrowski that I did want to pull up here. He was asked about the future of Kepler following the trade, and his quote was, "He's playing left field for us at this time. He's actually been swinging the bat a little bit better, particularly versus right-handed pitching, but he's a part of our roster at this time." And again, that double "at this time" I think is doing quite a bit of heavy lifting in this sentence here. I do think there's a world where the Phillies aren't even sure at this current point what is the future of the outfield. We know who Brandon Marsh is. We know who Max Kepler is. We know who Johan Rojas is. We don't really know who Justin Crawford is from an MLB perspective at this point, but how does this all work together? Now, the Kepler commitment is interesting to me. I think there's one side of things where the Phillies obviously invested in him with $10 million this offseason. This is a one-year contract. This is not a dude that you can drag into the offseason and hope to flip or carry into next trade deadline and get something in trade return. He is who he is, and this is going to be this season for better or for worse there. Is there a world where they DFA him and just call it quits, take the L on this signing was not what we hoped it would be? I think there is a world where that's possible there, but I don't think they'll come to that conclusion unless they have to. And again, I will point to Rojas, the defining trait that I think plays in his favor from a postseason perspective, figuring out how all these pieces come together. Like a guy like Brandon Marsh, who I like. I like Brandon Marsh. I think in an ideal world, he's probably a fourth outfielder is the reality for his ceiling as a baseball player here. But he's a good baseball player. He's a good team guy. He does whatever job that the team asks for him, and he is flexible from a positional standpoint there. What Marsh has working against him in this entire equation is there isn't one trait that, like, that's why I need him on this roster. When you're talking about these outfield sort of perspectives outside of these starters, the guys that are going to lock down those top three roles in left, center, and right for the duration of games here, you basically need to be an A-plus glove guy or have a little bit of pop off the bench. Can Max Kepler be a guy that is a pop off the bench guy, that if it is a late inning type of situation in the postseason, that you throw him in there in a pinch hitter as a pinch hitter and have belief? I'm not sure that I can talk myself into that currently, but I do think in an ideal world that that's what the Phillies are going to hope for. To his credit, Kepler has been a bit better of late. I don't think to the lengths that the Phillies are trying to play it off or sell it to the media. The unfortunate thing when we start to see these spin zones from the front office and coach here and the manager here, they play the games on TV, man. We all get to watch these. We get to see what happens. That you can't lie to us and tell us that he's been an unbelievable outfielder when the reality is I've seen the way this guy plays. I've seen the way that he swings the bat. And there is something that still sits wrong with me about the dude complaining about the lack of opportunity, or he thought he would be the everyday left fielder when at the time of that complaint, he was 7th on the team in at-bats. I don't know what more you could ask for, Max Kepler. And everything that the Phillies wanted was for this dude to go out and command that I'm the everyday left fielder. That just straight up has not happened, and that is a look yourself in the mirror conversation, not anything to do with the Phillies organization. Now, from here, there are a lot of different directions the Phillies can go. I mentioned August 15th is probably the date where Justin Crawford adds another little wrinkle to this. I do wonder, and for Johan Rojas directly, I do think the best thing for him and for his development at this time is to ensure that he's getting everyday reps against live pitching here, that is a guy that continues to improve at the plate. If that guy can just be like a league average hitter, we're talking about an everyday center fielder. But I think we know who Johan Rojas is to this point, that we've seen the way that things played out, that the bat has not progressed, and not being able to do the little things like bunting over a runner or have some of the mental slip-ups that do occur still out there in center field are honestly pretty like indefensible based on what the other flaws in his game are. So there's still a lot to go down in this outfield. The point that I will note from Luke once again here, he quote tweets the Devin Caney tweet and says, "My biggest takeaway from Thomson today, it's a platoon for the next 6 days. I don't get the feeling that this is a rest of the season plan. This is either very fluid, and we will see how Justin Crawford plays in this entire mix. Dave Dombrowski has also been pretty open on if they pull him up, they're going to use him. That the current stance from the organization is they don't believe that they have a clear role for him to fill from day one. I just think this is a difficult balancing act of you can't really prioritize development if this team has legitimate World Series aspirations. And if this team has legitimate World Series aspirations, you're trusting a dude who has yet to make his Major League debut as a key part of that picture. there's a lot going on in the outfield with the Phillies right now. For the time being, I'm going to buckle up and get ready to watch Max Kepler play a little bit more baseball, but I do think time may be ticking on how much longer that truly is for the Phillies. I think ultimately when the dust settled that Harrison Bader is going to be, I think there's a real chance that the outfield could be Harrison Bader, Nick Castellanos, and Justin Crawford as the outfield for the remainder of the season, as the everyday guys. We will see if that is actually how it plays itself out, but it does feel like there's a lot more questions than answers, which is not remotely what I expected following the trade deadline. That I expect to be sitting here right now, one day removed from the trade deadline, having a clear belief in this is what the picture of this Phillies roster is. I don't feel that is currently the case, and we will see how things play itself out from here. But would love to hear from you guys, your thoughts in the comments. What do you believe the best future for this Phillies outfield is? Nick Castellanos is going to continue to hold things down in right. The center field and left field seem like huge question marks to this point. Could one guy go on an absolute heater and grab the opportunity? Could that theoretically be Max Kepler there? Could that theoretically be Harrison Bader? Could it be Brandon Marsh coming out of nowhere and going on a hot streak? Who knows to this current point in the game? I do think that August 15th date is one to keep in mind. We will see how things unfold from here. But once again, would love to hear from you guys in the comments. As always, appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning in. If you have not already, make sure you're dropping a subscribe to the channel here. Love the Phillies Digest family continuing to grow, and we've got big plans heading into the postseason. Me and Luke dropped our live for our trade deadline reactions yesterday. I do encourage you guys to check that out. Went a little bit more in depth on sort of the picture, and Luke has a little bit more opinionated stance, I would say, on the outfield picture to this point than I currently feel. My honest just answer and reply and feeling is it feels very fluid to me. It feels like there is not a concrete plan in place, but we will see how things play itself out over the next couple of days and weeks here. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Once again, make sure you're smashing that subscribe button, dropping a like to this video if you have not already, and I'll be back talking to you next time right here on Phillies Digest. Peace.